Well, hey everybody, this is Don from Wizard Tower Games. Happy 2023, our first video of 2023. I wanted to talk a little bit about the new OGL from 1D&D, and the reason why I want to talk about it because I met with my attorney this morning about it. I actually contacted my attorney last week over this because we have a project that we have an agreement to do that is not with Wizards of the Coast, but it could be touched by this new OGL, and I was greatly concerned. And the word greatly concerned was an understatement. So I reached out to my lawyer last week and said, hey, reach out to the other party. What is their take on it? They have a much better understanding of the inner workings of dealing with Wizards than we do. And I had a meeting with him this morning, just got back, so I wanted to do a video about it. Now, this new OGL, and I'm going to give his input on some things because there's just a lot of people that are really worked up over this. And I didn't want to get worked up over it. What I wanted to do was, I understand that people interpret things sometimes the way they want to. The problem with licensing agreements is licensing agreements are very complicated because sometimes what appears to the layman like me to be very obvious and plain and very clear is in fact not quite how we interpret it. So I'm going to give you the overview, the input from my lawyer, the problems, and also the pluses. Now, OGL 1.1, as we all know, is being released in anticipation of their code name 1D&D. They're calling it 1D&D, 6E, whatever you want to call it. Okay? Wizards of the Coast is putting out for Dungeons & Dragons. Now, the problem is, again, we go back to the whole thing with licensing agreements. You know, the existing licensing agreement is about 890 words. This new OGL is like 9,000 words. So this thing has been not only revamped, rewritten, it has been expanded greatly, immensely. Now, a couple things about this new OGL. From what my attorney can gather, this new license only affects material created for tabletop role-playing games. Okay, video games, other things like that require specialized licenses, and they always have. All right, so it doesn't really affect anybody who does anything but tabletop role-playing games. Now, there are a lot of publishers out there like Paizo and such, Kobold Press, that do make a living off of the OGL. A large base, if not most of their products, are D&D oriented, falls under the existing OGL. Now, but we'll get to that. Now, to be more clear, this new license basically bars anything digital interactive that uses Wizards IP that require, because that stuff requires a special agreement anyways. Now, certain changes in this new OGL are common sense based. Like it allows them to suspend your license if you post any homophobic or transphobic content, any racist content, any bigoted or discriminatory content. I, as a publisher, I, as a consumer, agree with that. I think that that should be part of a new license. I frankly think it should have been part of the old license, but that's just me. Now, other things that it affects that I do not blame Wizards for doing is it addresses specific, unique digital content that wasn't around back when the new or the old OGL was created, such as blockchains, NFTs, that type of stuff. So I'm fine with that as a creator, as a publisher, as a consumer. Now, the problem is, there's two problems as my attorney sees with this new OGL. And I'm going to do some direct quoting here. Now, under the existing OGL, hold on. The new license says the old OGL, the new license says the old OGL is no longer, and I'm reading this verbatim, is no longer an authorized license agreement. So what they're basically doing is they're saying the old OGL is null and void. It's not authorized. But in the existing OGL, and here's where we're going to get into splitting the hairs, and I'm going to do a quote here. In the existing OGL, it specifically states, and I quote that, license grants a perpetual, worldwide, non-exclusive license to open game content, and licensee may use any authorized version of this license to copy, modify, and distribute any open game content originally distributed under any version of this license. Now, my layman mind goes, oh, got him. License grants perpetual, worldwide, non-exclusive license to open game content. That means perpetual. I can do it forever. But like my attorney said, my attorney made up a good point. And again, I'm not an attorney. I don't think like him, but he's an attorney. He's a contract attorney, as a matter of fact. Trademark IP lawyer, specializes in it. This is where legalese comes into play. And I will, basically, this is what he said. Keep in mind, license grants perpetual, worldwide, non-exclusive license to the open game content, and licensee may use any authorized version of this license to copy, modify, etc., etc., etc. Authorized. And there's where the glitch may be. Because all Wizards, theoretically, legally, it has to do, and that's what they're doing, is saying, well, the old one's not authorized anymore. Again, look at their licensing, new license statement. No longer an authorized license agreement. The old OGL, and licensee may use any authorized version of this license. So is Wizards of the Coast legally correct to do this? According to my attorney, they are. Legally, per their license, they can say, hey, we're no longer authorized. The old OGL, yeah, we're granting them perpetual. We're not saying that you can't publish. We're not barring people to publish under our license. See, and there's another thing. They're not barring people from publishing. They're just saying that under our new authorized version, we're not going to just let these larger publishers make millions off of our IP without ponying up a little bit of, a few gold pieces for, the liege of the land. Now, what would happen in court? Now, again, contract law, and this is one of the problems of contract law, because the wording is always important. The wording, to us laymen's, we don't read the nuances of this. We don't read the subtle little verbiage that we want to, in our mind, believe. But when you look at the existing OGL, a lot of vloggers online have it wrong. They're grabbing onto one word, perpetual. And the thing is Wizards is not taking away and seeing, this is the key take, like my attorney said, Wizards is still granting a perpetual right to publish their content. They are. They're just making a new authorized document, which the old OGL specifically states that they can do. And this is something that people are not talking about because they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to say, that this is the way it is. I think this is exactly the way it is because I think my attorney has it right. Now, saying that, hold on now. Don't be bringing the tar and feathers and torches to my castle keep, please, over my comments, because like my attorney said, the thing is this, though. These larger publishers who sell more than $750,000 a year in D&D based OGL, we'll call it OGL based content. There's only a few of them. Very, very few. I think there's under 15 creators publishers that make the big bucks like that off of OGL content. Kobold Press, Paizo, that type of thing. Could they band together and file a class action? Yes, they could. Now, keep in mind one thing, though, here. They may, and they're being quiet. And people are going, well, they're being quiet. Why? Because it's very well possible that they have already negotiated specific agreements with Wizards. They could have their own agreement with Wizards already. This could already been hashed out by them, and they're just keeping their mouth shut because they have a legal agreement to keep their mouth shut. It's possible that they're in process of doing negotiations with Wizards to say, hey, we sell $2.5 million a year. We'll make you a deal. We'll give you a $100,000 a year licensing fee to let us publish under the old OGL. And Wizards went, okay. We don't know this because no one's talking. None of these bigger publishers are making statements. And to me, that speaks louder than anything. Either that, or they may just be being prudent and saying, hey, before we say anything, we're going to wait and see what this new license says officially. But we're basing all my videos based on if this new license, the leaks are accurate, which they very well may be. They very well may be. But if not, if these larger publishers don't have licensing agreements, then if they went in, like my attorney said, if they went ahead and did a class action against Wizards, it's very well possible that a judge or a mediation panel or a jury, better yet, would go, wait a minute here. Yes, we understand contract language is contract language, and yes, you can grab on to the word authorized. Yes, you can, but we think you tricked them. We think that your agreement was so vague that they are going to be allowed to publish 5e, 4.0, 3.5, 2.0, AD&D, and BECME, and they can do it under the terms of the old OGL. You can't just terminate the old OGL. It's possible they would do that under a class action. It's possible they would say that. I don't think these larger publishers can just step all over 1.1. Sorry, they can't. I don't think they're going to be allowed to step over 1D&D or the new 6e version, because they can make a new license for new content. Nothing bars them from doing that. Like my attorney said, my attorney goes, you can't force someone's IP. If they're putting on a totally new version to go under an old license, you can't make them do that. But it sure as hell possibly could affect 5e down. But it's going to be up to the larger publishers if they don't have an existing license. 2, if they don't have existing negotiations going on with Wizards, which, according to my attorney, if he, was going to, if Wizards Tower Games was making that kind of bank off of the old OGL, like he said, he goes, I would definitely be in negotiation with Wizards. So again, we just don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes of these larger publishers. Now, who's this really going to affect? Let's say this is legitimate, and these big publishers aren't in any type of agreement with Wizards or under negotiation. It will affect a very small amount of the largest publishers only. It will go ahead and not affect the average D&D player at all. It will not affect really smaller publishers like us. People like us who have plans for very little OGL-based content. In fact, as I see it right now, there's only one product that we have existing that was being released this month that we have to rethink a little bit about. And that's our player character, our campaign trackers. It looks like this new license is not going to affect us with our new agreement that we have with this other company for this new product, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, we're reaching out to Wizards of the Coast, and so are they, to just do a little clarification on a couple things. But one other thing that will affect, though, it's going to affect people who do these crowdfunding projects, GoFundMes, Kickstarters, things like that, where they're making, and based on D&D IP, Wizards IP, and they're making huge Kickstarters. Yeah, this is going to affect them. So again, what this is all going to boil down to be is it's going to boil down to what the larger publishers are going to do, what they're going to tolerate. Are they going to say, you know what, we're going to stand up for our customers, we're going to stand up for each other, and we're going to fight this? We'll have to wait and see. I think this is going to end up in federal court. I think at least a couple of them, if they were smart, would band together and file a class action. I would not, like my attorney said, he definitely would not go alone on this. He would definitely class action it. There's more power behind a class action. There's more oomph behind a class action. I think the media would pick this up then if there was a, because the media is already talking about it. And there's one thing, like my attorney said, that's very important here. We do, the people are fickle. Okay, what's hot today in the news is not hot a week from now. So if these larger publishers are going to stand up, they need to start getting vocal. They need to start going, we're not putting up with this. They need to stand shoulder to shoulder. This is not a time for for tribalism. I'm going to stand in my camp alone. Screw Ronan, Cabal. No. Publishers need to band together, and they need to go ahead and say, listen, we're going to come together as a group and say, listen, this is patently unfair. This is patently not right. And what we're going to do is we're going to come to Wizards as a group. Maybe to start off with is, as a group, sign an open letter to Wizards of the Coast and send it to them saying, listen, we, the following publishers, and include people like Wizard Tower Games, include people, the smaller publishers, along with the bigger ones, band together and say, we do not believe this is fair. We want you to allow us to still operate under the old OGL. If we go into sixth edition, 1D&D, fine. The new OGL will ride. But you're hurting us, and that's not fair to us. And if Wizards gives you the one-finger wand and says, no, you're going to play by our little spell book or else, then what needs to happen is people need to band together, and they need to go ahead and get into a class action. That's just my take on it. This is Don from Wizard Tower Games. I hope everyone's having a great 2023. It is interesting days in gaming, and I just think that what people need to do as a whole is it's a time for publishers to band together and publishers to say we're not tolerating this. And if we cannot, if publishers can't band together over something like this, then I think gaming community is screwed anyways. Again, this is Don, Wizard Tower Games, signing off. Hope everybody has a great 2023, and we will be making the announcement on our new game product that hopefully here in January. Have a good afternoon, guys.